Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Back again with another live stream. Let me know how you guys are feeling, how you guys are doing this Monday afternoon, night, wherever you are. How are you doing? Let me say hi to a couple of people in the chat. Kelvin, how are you? Mark, how are you? Mashek, how are you? Iranius, how are you? Farm, how are you? Joel, how are you? I can see you guys in the chat already. Ibrahim as well. Thank you for being here this early. Let's get to it. We'll be talking about the latest on Eze potentially moving to Arsenal. What do you guys make of that? If you're watching on a different platform, let me know in the comments. Do you feel like we need Eze, or do you feel we already have Smith Rowe? We don't really need Eze. Would you be ready to splash the money for Eze, whichever kind of money they're going to ask for? We'll be covering that. We'll also be talking about the latest on Calafiori. I should be saying welcome to Calafiori. Everything Calafiori. I think we've been talking about Calafiori every single day, but I think it's going to be finalized very, very soon. And also the latest on Smith Rowe. Could he end up departing, especially if Eze comes in? And also the latest on Albert Sambila Konga. So let's get into it with the Eze news. This is what is being reported about Eze. Today, this is from Ed Aarons, who says Arsenal are understood to be among several clubs interested in Eberechi Eze. Now, I'm not surprised that we want Eze. Eze is a very good player. Like, I do think Eze is a very, very good player, especially watching Crystal Palace between when they sacked Roy Hodgson and brought in the new manager up until the end of the season. Eze, Olise, Mateta, all these guys were absolutely incredible. They were scoring goals for fun. He was creating numerous chances. All of them were creating numerous chances for all of them. Like in terms of goals, assists, the way they were smacking every team left, right, and center. You know, they could compete against any team. Like if you have Eze, Olise, and Mateta, they could compete against any team. And Eze was one of the reasons why he was very good last season, especially the end of it. The goals he was scoring, the assists he was scoring, is very good from set pieces. He's very good from obviously penalties, corners, and all that. Dribbling. He can play for you as a number 10. He can play for you as a number 8 on the left wing. He's very good. If you remember, when Arsenal came back from Dubai and we played Crystal Palace as the first opponent and we beat them 5-0, there's one player that stood out in that game from Crystal Palace, and that was Eze. He could actually have had like 1 or 2 goals in that game. He was the only bright spark about Crystal Palace that day. So he's a very good player. I've watched him for a couple of seasons in the Premier League. Over the last 2 seasons, he's improved in terms of goals. I think he had 10 goals, and then he had 11 goals last season. He's improved in terms of the number of goals. His appearances are improving as well. Yes, he's had a couple of injuries here and there, but not as serious as the other players that would be linked to the other players we have at Arsenal. No, he's definitely not injury prone. He can play for you at least 30 games out of the 38 Premier League matches. So he's very, very good. So I'm not surprised that Arsenal linked to him. So Arsenal understood to be among several clubs interested in him. Now, Tottenham is the other team that is really interested in him. And listen, you can argue he would fit Tottenham, but Tottenham also currently have players like Maddison. So you're like, where is he really going to play? Now, if Eze went to a team like Tottenham, I'd be like, oh, they've gotten a really good player there. Like, I expect Tottenham, to be able to create more chances, to score more goals with someone like Eze there. Now, for Arsenal, do you guys think we need Eze at Arsenal, or do you think we should be looking at other positions? Do you think if he becomes available and they say, listen, we want 55 million, you'd be rushing to pay them, or do you think we don't really need that player? Now, in terms of the number 10, we already have a number 10. I don't think Eze will be happy to come to Arsenal and be on the bench. I don't think Eze is a bench player. Like the way he's sitting on the bench for England, I think he could easily start. Like out of the 20 Premier League teams, I think Eze easily starts for like at least 14 of them. I think he's that good. Maybe in the terms of top 6, maybe he doesn't start ahead of De Bruyne, maybe he doesn't start ahead of Bruno, maybe he doesn't start ahead of Odegaard and all these guys. But in terms of talent, it's there. But where would he fit in at Arsenal? Do we really need him? He can play as a number 10, but you already have Odegaard. Then at the left wing, we already have way too many people on the left wing. Trossard and Martinelli are going to rotate. If Jesus is still at Arsenal next season, he's going to play there sometimes. So those are already 3 players who can play on the left side. If Smith Rowe stays, that's a 4th player who can play on the left side. So that position is out for Eze. So the other position that is left for him is the number 8 position. And the number 8 position for me, especially if you're playing at Arsenal, depending on the kind of formation that we have, the number 8 position at Arsenal is not just for attacking. Some games, yes. But the way we play in the number 8 position, this last season, it was Declan Rice. The previous 2 seasons, or previous 2 seasons, it was Granit Xhaka in that position. The number 8 position, you need to know how to, know when to come back and help your defensive midfield and make it a double pivot. That could be Partey, it could be Rice, whoever's playing at that particular time, Jorginho. You have to know when to come back and help them out. when you're attacking, you need to know how far to carry the ball, you know, how to combine with your number 10, when to overlap, when to go to the left side and try and put in across. When your left winger goes inside, you know when to go to the left side. Like the number 8 role is not easy. Like the way Jacques and Rice have done it for us the last 2 seasons, it's incredible. Like you see Rice on the left wing trying to cross the ball. Actually, I think there's like 2-3 times I saw Rice putting in across from the left side and getting assists. One that I remember very well was I think it was Sheffield United, the 6-0. He went and crossed the ball for Odegaard from that left side. He was the left winger. If you remember 2 seasons ago when he beat Chelsea, I think it was 3-1 at the Emirates Stadium when Odegaard scored twice. I think both of those passes came from Xhaka on the left wing. So he'll need to do that. Now, I don't have a problem with Eze in terms of that. I think he can do that well for us. The only other issue is defending. Can he come and help us defend? Because when you have both Eze on the pitch, Odegaard is very good in terms of coming back and defending and pressing and all that. But we need him to stay up front and do the magic for us. Eze would want to do the same. Eze would want to stay up front and, you know, do the magic, dribble, create chances, score goals, which means you'll only be left with 1 defensive midfielder and 2 attacking midfielders who want to attack and create chances, and none that really wants to, you know, come back and defend. For me, the balance I would want in midfield is someone who wants to stay forward, press, score, and assist. That is Odegaard. The number 6, just stay there and defend majority of the time, 95% of the time, just stay there in your position and defend, make interceptions, protect the defense, make tackles, win aerial duels, you know, man-mark players like De Bruyne in that midfield. That is the work of the number 6. The work of the number 8 in that Arsenal team, you need to come back and defend, and you need to attack. So can Eze do that? Now, you can argue, you can argue no, you can argue yes, especially depending on the game. Like you can't have a game against Man City and then you play a front 3 and then you also have Odegaard, Eze, and then 1 defensive midfielder. That is suicidal. You have to have 2 strong midfielders there. So Partey and Rice, so Jorginho and Rice, whoever it's going to be, you need a strong midfield there, like 2 players who can defend and are happy to come back and defend. And I don't think Eze is that kind of player. So personally, I saw someone yesterday saying we need Eze. I don't think we need Eze. I mean, Eze coming to Arsenal, I'd be very, very happy. I'd be like, wow, we've added some real quality here, Premier League experience. England international is coming to do a job for us in several positions. I'd be happy. But if signing Eze means that we don't get a striker, we don't get a midfielder, I'd be like, no, please, let's just get a striker first, to get a midfielder first before buying players like Eze. Another thing signing Eze would mean, it will potentially mean that Smith Rowe goes for sure. If Eze comes to Arsenal, it means Smith Rowe goes for sure, 100%. We'll talk about Smith Rowe in this one. And another thing that Eze signing would mean, it would mean someone like a Nico Williams does not come to Arsenal, because he can't sign Eze, sign Nico Williams, and also sign a striker. That is not possible in terms of budget. It's not possible in terms of having too many players in the squad. It's not possible in terms of wages. It's way too much. So the Eze one, yes, we're interested in him, but I don't think we particularly need him. But it depends. We've been surprised before. We didn't think we needed a goalkeeper last season, but Freya came out of nowhere. So I would not be surprised if Eze just popped out of nowhere. But I think Eze signing would mean Smith Rowe leaves, and it would mean Nico Williams doesn't come in, and it would potentially mean we don't get a striker, if that is the player that you're bringing in to like help us score goals and assist and all that. So that is a weird one. Tottenham would, I think it would fit at Tottenham, but they still have Maddison, so it depends as well. At Liverpool, the formation Liverpool plays, if Liverpool are playing a direct like 4-2-3-1 or something, and then Salah on the right side, Diaz on the left side, and then a striker, and then Eze behind the striker, I think that would be good for Liverpool. But the formation they played under Klopp is no longer the manager, so I don't know which formation Slot is going to play. If they played with a number 10, I think Eze would fit in well, and then they can have Salah, Diaz or Jota, whoever, and then Nunes or whoever else they're going to have up there. I think it would fit in well there. At Man United, they already have Bruno. At Man City, they already have a lot of attacking midfielders. At which other team am I forgetting? Aston Villa maybe could fit in there. Arsenal, I am not sure. But as I said, I'll come to your comments. If Eze does leave, if Eze does join Arsenal, it would potentially mean Smith Rowe leaves. So what's the latest on Emile Smith Rowe? This is the latest on him, according to Sky Sports. Fulham are one of the Premier League clubs who hold strong interest in Emile Smith Rowe. They're expected to formalize their interest soon. So yeah, they're expected to table an offer very soon for Emile Smith Rowe. I don't know, man. I'm not really keen on Smith Rowe leaving, to be honest. I don't really want Smith Rowe to leave unless we are getting significant money that we're going to use to improve our midfield or striker situation. That is the only possibility. But Smith Rowe, for me, I don't feel like we are chasing him away. There's already reports saying that Arsenal is not really chasing away Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe is potentially thinking about staying at Arsenal because he really loves Arsenal as a club. He's willing to fight for his pace in terms of game time and all that. I don't think Smith Rowe is going to become an Arsenal starter. That one I don't think is going to happen. But if he can manage to squeeze himself into that first 16, 17 players, because last season he had around 14, 15 players. It was the first team. Then we knew Kivia would come in. We knew sometimes Jorginho would come in if he was not starting. And then we knew Trossard or Martinelli, one of them would come in. And then maybe a Tomiyasu when he was fit. So we had like 15 players that we were using every single game. So if Smith Rowe can manage to squeeze himself into that list and make it 16, 17, next season, obviously, we need to have more. We know that you're going to have more players in the squad. 14, 15 players is not going to be enough to compete in all of those competitions. I just know it's not going to be enough. We need to extend the number of players we're using next season. So we'll need to rotate Havertz. We'll need to rotate Odegaard. We'll need to rotate Partey if he's starting. We'll need to rotate our defenders. We need to have enough players in the squad. So if Smith Rowe can, squeeze himself into that list, because every time like we get to the 60th minute, we already know who's going to come on. We know Trossard is going to come on for Martinelli. We know Jorginho is going to come on for Partey, or Partey coming for Jorginho. And then we know, maybe if Jesus is on the bench, he's going to come on. And then maybe a Kivia in the last 20 minutes of the game. So if Smith Rowe can get himself on that list where, whether we are leading or trailing, however, whether we are leading and Trossard is tired, Smith Rowe is the first one to brought in, that would be great for him. If he feels like, okay, we are 2 goals ahead, Odegaard needs to rest, Smith Rowe needs to make sure that he's the first one to come in for Odegaard ahead of Vieira, ahead of all those other players who will be in the squad. If he can get himself into that position, he can easily make 25 appearances. He can have maybe 10 starts and then 15 bench appearances from the bench. That would be great for him. But at the moment, Fulham do want him. If they're not giving us 30 million plus, I'd even say 35 million, I would not take it. If they come with something stupid like 15 million or 16 million, I just tell them, please, no. But someone did bring up something, an idea yesterday that we've never really used this as Arsenal, like the buyback clauses and sell-on clauses. We've never really used all of this over the years. But if we have to sell him as well to a Fulham, we need to include one of those, either buyback clause or sell-on clause. So if he goes and becomes a star at Fulham and they sell him for 80 million, we are getting at least some percentage from that. But I would prefer a buyback clause. If Smith Rowe goes and he becomes a very, very good player in that team, and Fulham are trying to sell him, we have the first option of a buyback clause. We are the first team that can go and get him ahead of any other team. That is what the buyback clause is. That is what I would want. That is what I'd want. A buyback clause would be great. So if he goes and does well in the next 2 seasons, we can bring him back. We basically have priority in terms of signing the player of every other team. So that is what I would like to happen for sure. But we're waiting for Fulham to hear what Fulham are going to offer for him. Let's wait and see. But for me, listen, I know he's not going to be a starter. I really want him to stay. But as I said, if he's going to help us buy a striker or midfielder, then you potentially have to move on. But as of now, I don't think we're in a rush to sell Smith Rowe. I want to see if he's still here. I want to see how he does in the first 2-3 preseason games against Bournemouth and Man United. I want to see how he does. I do think Smith Rowe is a very good player. The injuries have affected him. I don't think Smith Rowe has become a terrible player. We saw some snippets of it. Like I know it is not the best of teams, but when he played against Luton, he's so impressive, winning the ball back for us, pass to Havertz, pass to Odegaard, we scored from that. We saw him against Everton in the last game that we needed to win to at least be in the running for winning the title if Man City hadn't won their game. Smith Rowe came in that game. He was trusted. He was brought in and he hit the post. He looked lively in that game as well. And there's another game as well. I think was it Sheffield United at home? Yeah, I think he got an assist for Nketiah in that game. He didn't play like against top teams, but we have seen him playing against top teams before. We've seen him going to Stamford Bridge and we won there 4-2 and Smith Rowe, ripped them apart. We've seen Arsenal go to Old Trafford and Smith Rowe scored the opening goal there as well. So Smith Rowe can perform. We've seen Smith Rowe performing for Arsenal for an entire season. We even had a song for him and Saka because he was really, really good. So let's see how that one develops though. So that's the latest on Eze and also Smith Rowe. There's a lot more to talk about. Let me see how you guys are saying. Joel says, I believe in the board. Good evening. Watching live from South Sudan, says Mashek. Mark says hi. Good evening, says Ibrahim. I always forget to put the comments. More. Yeah, that is much better. Let's see. Good evening, Bedell. Good evening, Bisong. Let's be ready to welcome Calafiori and wait for another signing. Major League striker says Savio. Good evening. Emerson. Eze is going, but I think we need him, says Balami. Wow, need him. Interesting. We need Eze because he's out, graduate, and he's in good form, and he's a good ball carrier. He's our graduate, yeah. Eze used to play for Aston, by the way, when he was a kid. He's a good ball carrier, also good in set pieces, can be a better super sub for us. Imagine him and Trossard being our game changers. That would be great. That would be great. But the other thing is, would he be happy to be on the bench? I think Eze is a definite starter for whichever team he plays for. Smith Rowe is as good as Eze, says Moses. Good evening. Arsenal need him, but he's not a priority, says Sunday. I agree. I don't agree with need him. I think Arsenal need a midfield and a striker. That is what we need. That word need is a bit strong. Eze can do it, depends how coach teaches him, says Jamil. Eze is a good player, but Smith Rowe is better, says Eric. Kelvin says ESI is a good player, but keeping him fit has been a challenge. I could even argue for him going on loan. Top priority for us is definitely a striker. That's the other option. You can send him out on loan, maybe get him to sign a new contract in case he doesn't end up playing for Arsenal again. We can sell him for a significant fee. If he goes to another team and performs well, he can get a significant fee. But if he goes to a different team and then doesn't play well or gets injured again, then that becomes a problem again. I'll come to the rest of your comments. Let me go to the next piece of news that is on, guess who? Calafiori again. Calafiori, everything Calafiori. Let's back again to Calafiori. Let's talk about Calafiori once again. Also, latest on him. Well, this is the latest on Calafiori. According to Fabrizio, Arsenal and Bologna are on the verge of agreeing a 50 million fee for Ricardo Calafiori. Both clubs are still working on the structure of the deal, fixed fee, add-ons, payment terms, with the plan to reach a club-to-club agreement this week. And then that was from Fabrizio. And then he also said Arsenal Bologna are in ongoing discussions to close a deal for Ricardo Calafiori. Clubs are negotiating the fixed fee and the structure of the deal. So yesterday, we were told the deal is going to be completed in the next 24 hours. This one, or this one, in the next 24 to 48 hours. So this was according to 86 Longo. Arsenal expect to close the Ricardo Calafiori operation within the next 24 to 48 hours. 50 million plus bonuses to Bologna, 40% to Basel. For Calafiori, contract until 2029 at 4 million bonuses included per season. So I'm not worried about Calafiori. Calafiori is already an Arsenal player in my head. He's going to join. We have to wait for him to come back from his holiday. I showed you guys, look at him. He's on holiday in Maldives. This does not look like someone who's going to come back anytime soon. I mean, look at that. I would not want to come back anytime soon as well. Just the beach, the ocean, that looks amazing. I would not want to come back again anytime soon. So he's going to come back like in the next 10 days, and then he's going to undergo his medical. And then he's going to be an Arsenal player, nothing to worry about. There's no team that is going to hijack him. For the ones who are worried about a team potentially hijacking him, that is not going to happen. As Fabrizio confirmed yesterday at the last paragraph, no talks taking place with PSG, Leverkusen, or Chelsea. And there was reports that Chelsea have already given up on him. They already know he's going to be an Arsenal player. So that is finished. It's already too far ahead. Like Chelsea gave up on him because Arsenal already advanced too much with Calafiori. It's basically 99% done. Just the structure of the deal. Bologna are already going to take the 50 million. So it's just the structure of the deal, how much you're going to pay up front, how much they're going to pay them in add-ons and all that. So Calafiori still is already an Arsenal player. We just have to wait a couple of more days. But we heard that a full agreement is going to be reached in the next 48 hours. Now, since that came out, it's already been like 18 hours. So I'd say just over 24 hours. Let's see if the deal will be fully agreed by tomorrow. But Calafiori will be an Arsenal player. Nothing to worry about. So, yeah. That is the latest on Calafiori. I'm not going to break it down more. We've talked about Calafiori way too many times. Let's wait and see if there's a development again. We're going to talk about him. Next up, let's go to Albert Sambi Lokonga, another player we're expecting to sell very, very soon. This is the latest on him. From Sky Sports as well. Sevilla advancing in talks with Arsenal over the signing of Albert Sambi Lokonga. The deal is understood to be an initial loan with performance-related conditions, which would permit the loan turns into an obligation to buy. So we already know Lokonga is going to leave Arsenal, so we're just waiting to see whether it's going to be a permanent deal or a loan with an obligation to buy. Seems like it's going to be a loan with an obligation to buy, so you're not going to get any money for Lokonga right now, but he's not going to come back and become an Arsenal player. It's going to be sold, so there's an obligation to buy him, so he's definitely going to go to Sevilla. That is a player that is definitely going to leave Arsenal. He's not going to be here next season. I mean, we all agree, I think most of us agree that Lokonga is not going to come back and play for Arsenal. We are looking for other midfielders. Part is still there, Jorginho is still there, Rice is still there. We've been linked to players like Fofana, Joan Neves, Bruno Guimaraes. So we think you're going to get a midfield in that position. So it's safe to say Lokonga will leave. I think this week as well, we are going to hear a breakthrough on the Lokonga deal. I think by this week, is going to have gone to the team that is going to, which is Sevilla. Sevilla is where he's going to. Another player who's definitely leaving is Nuno Tavares. The latest on him from yesterday was Lazio's interest in Nuno Tavares is increasing daily as Lazio sporting director Angelo Fabiani remains in contract with Arsenal. The operation will cost around 8.5 million. So that is a profit, as I said in the other video the other day. That is a profit. You bought him for 8 million, you're selling him for 8.5 million. For Nuno Tavares, I would like us to get more money for other players, but for Nuno Tavares, any kind of profit, to be honest, I would take it because, since he came to Arsenal, let's be honest, his game has dropped more than it has gone up. And last season, he only played 8 times for Nottingham Forest, did not feature basically all season. At Marseille, did well, but they sent him back to Arsenal. And his contract is expiring next year. Lokonga's contract is expiring in 2026. So that is why we can send him out on loan and then sell him in 2025. But you can't do the same with Tavares. Tavares has to be sold right now or he gets a new contract. Because if you don't sell him right now, he's going to leave on a free next season. His contract is expiring next year. And it hasn't worked out. I don't really blame Tavares and Lokonga or Arteta for signing more. Whatever. The time we signed these players, Tavares and Lokonga, we were trying to get into the top 5, top 4. That was our target. At that time, we signed them and Ben White and those guys. We were just trying to get back. We were competing with Tottenham and West Ham and Leicester. Those are the teams we were competing with when we signed Tavares and Lokonga. Within 2 years, we are now competing with Man City and trying to find a way to get past Bayern Munich in the Champions League and teams like that. So we've moved on very quickly. So we've moved on past Lokonga and Tavares very quickly. The 2021 transfer window, the players we signed in 2020 and 2021, we've already moved past them already for sure, apart from Odegaard, obviously. Odegaard is definitely part of the project. Most of the rest, we've already moved on from them, to be honest. So for Tavares, all the best to him. Let's hope we make that profit for him. And Lokonga as well, let's hope we make a profit for him. Also, let's on Jakub Kiwior. We talked about it this morning. Inter Milan also want him. Juventus want him. Arsenal want at least 20 million. There's reports that Arsenal also want, I think, 30 million. So in terms of price, that there's a lot of different reports. So 20 million euros, there's 25 million euros, there's 28 million euros. So let's wait and see what you're going to get for him. But when you hear a player like Kiwior is wanted by Inter Milan, if Inter Milan want you and Juventus want you, Inter Milan is not a terrible team. Inter Milan has one of the best defenses in the world with the Bastonis and the De Vries and the Di Marcos of this world. All of them are very good. And they were close to winning the Champions League 2 seasons ago. They only lost 1-0 to Man City. They won the Scudetto last season in Italy. I can see them winning it again next season. They have very good players. Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan has been great. Lautaro Martinez, Thuram, all of those players are very good. So before you go to Inter Milan, it's not easy. So Kiwior being linked to Inter Milan, that shows he's a very good player. But those Italian teams don't pay you enough money for those players. Unfortunately, you have to really, really push to get enough money for players going to Italy. But let's hope if Kiwior does leave, we do get a significant amount of money because Kiwior is the other player that I didn't really want to lose. I wanted us to keep all of our defenders and the goalkeepers as well, focus on getting a midfielder, striker, and a winger. But you have to sell players to keep on progressing. Even if you look at Man City are very good. They finished with 100 points. Sane left. The next year, they do well. Jesus scored the goal for them to take them to 100 points, by the way. He's gone. He's no longer a Man City player. They sell Zinchenko. They sell Sterling. They win the league again. Gundogan is gone. They win the league again. Mahrez is gone. Laporte is gone. This season, they've just won a league again. We are hearing Ederson could go. We are hearing of other players who could move on. Bernardo Silva. So Man City move on. They win a league. They sell 2-3 players. They buy Doku. They sell 2-3 more players. They bring in Gvardiol. They sell 2-3 players. They bring in a different player. They keep on moving. So I think for us as well, maybe it could be the same. Maybe, if we do win something this season, well, let's start from this season. Kiwior leaves, Nketiah leaves, Nelson leaves. If we win a trophy next season, who knows? Partey leaves, Jorginho leaves. Who knows? The next season, Ben White leaves. Who knows? Like, you have to keep on moving on from players, and you have to capitalize on players doing well, and you sell them and make a profit. That is something we've never done since we started supporting Arsenal. We don't sell players for enough money. Players leave Arsenal very cheaply. We've never sold anyone for above 35 million. There's still more to talk about, but let me take you guys' comments first. Emerson is saying asking how much do you think Smith Rowe is worth? I'm going to say 35 million. Because we've already seen a full season of him performing in the Premier League. So it's not like a player who's coming from outside and you don't know how he's going to be in the Premier League. No, we've seen him performing before in the Premier League against, big teams as well, and scoring goals and assisting. There's a time him and Saka basically carried Arsenal. That first season in 2020, when they popped up against Chelsea, they saved Arsenal, and he carried us for 2 seasons. So he's a very good player. We've seen him performing in the league. He's also an England international. There's a time he was being picked for England with Saka. He's versatile. He can play as a number 10. He can play as a number 8. He can play as a left winger. He's young. That is another thing as well. He's English. You need to have a certain number of English players in your team. So all that and his age as well, I think is worth at least 35 million. If he didn't have the injuries and he had like maybe an extra consistent season above what he had in 2021, 2022, we'd have been talking about 50 million, because Chelsea asking for 50 million for Gallagher, 50. Chelsea asking for 40 million for Brozier. Like when United were quoting around 35, 40 million for Wan-Bissaka, and we've not had like consistent seasons from these players. Gallagher's had maybe half a good season, but we've seen a full season from Smith Rowe. But it's very important to stay fit and all that. So 35 million minus the injuries, I'd say 50 million. I thought it was a done deal to Spurs, but if you're asking, yeah, take him immediately for sure, says Fire Nuff. That's how you say your name. Interesting. It's not a done deal with Tottenham yet, no. If Tottenham have Maddison, it's a weird one. I don't know why you would play at Tottenham. They already have Son. If they buy a striker, Son moves back to the left side. I think Werner will be on the bench. Richarlison is back. I don't know if he's going to be a bench player. They still have Kulusevski and Johnson and all those guys. I don't know how they're going to fit them, but yeah, if he goes to Tottenham, I think that would be a good buy for them, and we don't want Tottenham to do well. In fact, since last season, I started to hate Tottenham even more after what they did against Man City. Awal says, good evening, bro. How are you? And tell us about your questions, because Kai embarrassed me. Jesus Christ. Eric says Kai embarrassed him at years after missing many good chances. I think he missed. I think he did miss. Now listen. I think he missed like 6-7 chances. But out of those 6-7 chances, I think at least 3 of them he did okay. Let me tell you the chance I don't agree with people. The chance that he had the other day and he tried to chip the goalkeeper, I don't think that is an easy chance. I think if you give that to 10 players, you could easily have 8 of them missing. When you're trying to do it quickly, I think it's not an easy chance. But the rest is one that he had a good touch and then went past one-on-one. Yeah, you need to score that as a striker, especially if you get 3 chances in a game, you need to score at least one of them at least. So I do agree. He did miss. I don't think he embarrassed us. He still had a couple of good games. But yeah, Gyökeres, we have to wait and see, man. It's gone quite a bit the last few weeks. I guess it's a matter of teams waiting for Napoli and Sporting to drop prices for Osimhen and Gyökeres. I don't think anyone is ready to pay that 100 million, but Gyökeres would be a good signing. Now, even if Gyökeres was signed, I don't think Havertz is going to be on the bench, by the way. I think Havertz is still going to start games for Arsenal next season, especially if you play with a back 3 and you have the ball. That allows you to have a front 2. So it could be a striker plus Havertz up front. I don't know if that is going to help him in terms of taking a bit of pressure away from him and the combination with the striker. I think he has a good relationship with Odegaard. I think Odegaard and Havertz understand each other from what I've seen them playing together. But yeah, I don't think it's, I wouldn't say depend on him or Jesus every single day. I want Jesus to stay. I want Havertz to stay, but I do agree. I don't think you can depend on them the whole season and just ask for them to score goals every week. No, you do need a striker, and then you rotate, and then you have different ideas as well. And even bringing a striker would take a lot of pressure away from these players. Saka would know, oh, we've brought in a striker, I can now put in a cross, there's someone to head it in. Havertz knows, okay, even if I don't score, maybe I can assist. There's a player here who can score for me, who can help me score. We can take a bit of pressure away from him. Odegaard will be like, I can put a one-on-one through pass, and the striker will get a one-on-one chance and they'll score. Odegaard put through a lot of one-on-one chances last season for Havertz, for Trossard, for Martinelli, and a lot of them were missed. So if a striker would get that, they would be very happy. But Gyökeres, let's wait and see what is going to happen this week. Clement says, if you have money, let's get a striker, midfielder, and cover for Saka. Then I'm sure 2024, 2025, we will win 2 trophies. That would be so good, man. I'm very sure of that. Thank you, says Clemens. Thank you for your comment. Eric says, I'm from Kenya, my brother. Thank you. Let me know where you're from, by the way. Just comment where you guys are from, where you're watching from. John says, good evening, Ghana. I'm watching from Sierra Leone, West Africa. Thank you. Ajayi says, good evening. I'm from Nigeria. Please don't sell him. I guess you're talking about Smith Rowe. Junior says Smith Rowe should come for his best form is when Ateta can trust him. Like, he'd come back to his best form and Ateta trusts him. I don't think it's hard to say that. I don't think he trusts Nelson, Nketiah, or Vieira. I actually think he still has Smith kind of ahead of them, because I saw him bring him on against Everton when he needed to win the title on the final day. I was like, how comes he brought him instead of these other players? I don't know. But yeah, the reason why they say that he did not rotate last season is because he did not trust many of the players on the bench. So yeah, let's hope we have enough players that we can trust on the bench next season. Buster says, I'm from Liberia. Thank you. Good evening. Joshua says we need another winger if we need business for the season, and I think he mean business for the season. And central midfield and striker with one CB. That's all. Then let's sell Nketiah and Smith and all fringe players, please. No, I don't agree with all fringe players. You still need players on the bench. Remember, even if we had our starting 11, and then let's say you have Havertz on the bench, Trossard on the bench, Jorginho on the bench, Timber on the bench, Tomiyasu on the bench. That's like 5 or 6 players on the bench. You still need 3 or 4 more on the bench, remember? So I don't think you can sell Nelson, sell Nketiah, sell Vieira, sell Smith Rowe, sell Partey, sell Jesus. No, you still need players on the bench. Even if you don't use them that much, you still have a lot of competitions to play and a lot of rotation will still be needed. Musa says, hi, Glenn. Good evening. How are you doing today? I am doing good. Thank you for being here. I'll come to the rest of your comments. I think there's 1 or 2 pieces of news I've left out. Think one. I've not talked about the goalkeeper that you're linked to on a live stream. So this is the goalkeeper we are linked to from Wolves. Arsenal contact Wolves to express interest in signing Dan Bentley, 30-year-old goalkeeper identified by Arsenal as backup option. This was from David Ornstein. And David Ornstein is some people even argue David Ornstein is more reliable than Fabrizio Romano. I'm not going to make a judgment on that. I think both of them give exclusive, but David Ornstein does not give random exclusives. He just comes back after 1 month with boom. David Ornstein was the one who told us Arsenal have made a 105 million bid for Rice. He was the first one. So it's very accurate in terms of Arsenal news. He did say we want a goalkeeper from Wolves. So when he says that, I do believe there's something there for sure. The weird thing, though, as we said on yesterday's video, this particular goalkeeper that we are linked to, he's not good in terms of ball kicking. So I don't know why we want him. Okay, experience, yes. He's English, yes. But as a second-choice goalkeeper, I think if Dan Bentley comes to Arsenal, don't be surprised if he's a third-choice goalkeeper, to be honest. Because second-choice goalkeeper, he's not great at ball kicking. If Raya is suspended for 3 games, this is the guy who starts. Remember, Raya is still in the Euros. If Spain get to the final and he needs a holiday as well after that, Raya is not going to be there for the first 2-3 preseason games, and he might not even be ready for the season starting. But the goalkeeper is different. The goalkeeper might be ready. It's not the same as the players, outfield players. If you don't have Raya for 2 games, would you trust Dan Bentley to be your goalkeeper? That is the other problem. So that is why I feel like there's still a chance Ramsey might not go, or there's a 90% chance Ramsey will go, but there's still a 10% chance if no one gives us enough money for Ramsey, he ends up staying. But this is an interesting one because the goalkeeper is not strong at long passes. And that is what Atta wants. He wants us to play from the back. So this would be a weird buy. But we're linked to that goalkeeper from Wolves. I think there's definitely going to be movement in terms of the goalkeeper. And one particular news that I haven't talked about because I haven't seen any concrete thing, but I'm going to talk about it in this one just for a few minutes, is Raphinha. I've seen a few of you asking. This is from the Evening Standard. Arsenal have launched a player plus cash bid for Barcelona winger Raphinha as they plot a significant spending spree this summer. Raphinha to Arsenal. What do you guys think of Raphinha to Arsenal? I'm not sure, man. There's 2-3 players who, Vlahovic and Raphinha, these guys, I mean, it's football. You have to move on, I know. But there's a time we really wanted Raphinha and Vlahovic. We were desperate. We were poor. Arsenal was poor. We needed some help, and we went to Leeds and told Raphinha, "Listen, come and help us. We don't have anyone else to do this for us. Come and help us." And he's like, "Nah, I'm going to go to Barcelona. Why should I go to Arsenal?" Vlahovic said, "Arsenal don't have Champions League football. Hell no, I'm not going there. I'm going to go to Juventus." That is what they said 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Now Raphinha wants to revive his career. His career's kind of dropped off. He wants to revive his career. And Vlahovic wants to revive his career. They're like, okay, I'm going to go to Arsenal now. I mean, there's a song that says, if you don't love me now, don't love me later. I'm not sure about this one. They didn't like us when you were at the bottom. Why would we take them when you're on the top? But if you put that to the side, would you take Raphinha to Arsenal? Do you think it's worth it? The other thing that you need to know, if you buy Raphinha from Barcelona, you are helping them get Nico Williams, because they're going to get Nico Williams with that money. Nico Williams' first choice would be to go to Barcelona. So if you pay them 50 million for Raphinha, that is the same money they're going to use to buy Nico Williams. So would you just rather go and try and get Nico Williams with that money, or buy Raphinha and then you let them have Nico Williams? That's the other problem, and that is the other problem. But yeah, they're saying that Arsenal have launched. I'm not 100% sure about this news. That is why I've not talked about it in any separate video. But they are saying that Arsenal have launched a player plus cash. So the player, by the way, is Edin Nketiah. They did say the player that we're giving them plus money is Edin Nketiah. That's the other thing, though. Edin Nketiah does not sound to me like a player Barcelona would want. The way Barcelona have moved, like Barcelona have had some, proper Ronaldinho's, Messi's, Eto'o, Aguero went there for a season. They've had some ballers, Pedro, Alexis Sanchez, Neymar, Villa. Would they really would Barcelona fans be happy if they sign someone like Nketiah? I don't think so. Like, there's a level. Like, Barcelona, even if you told Barcelona to take Eze, they would look at you like, Eze? Because they are used to players like Iniesta. So they would look at Eze like, no, Eze? Why Eze? Like, Barcelona used to, international Ballon d'Or kind of players. So I don't think they'd be happy with Nketiah anyway. But yeah, that's the latest on Raphinha. They're saying that we've given them money plus Nketiah. I'm not sure about the money. I've not looked into it because I'm not 100% sure about this news. But that's the latest on him. Let's see. Good evening, brother, says Katuma. You're welcome. It will be very nice to have him. Our defense will be great, says Belden, for sure. Good evening, the Gunners fans all over the house, says Aminu. Musa says, hi, Glenn, not about Nico Williams, please. I need that guy in Arsenal. For Nico Williams, you have to wait for Spain to finish their Euros. Did you read the medical record since 2021? For who? Do you mean for Eze, or for which player are you talking about? If you're talking about Calafiori, yes, I know about it. I mean, I talked about it because 2 weeks ago, and you're like, I've not had anyone talking about his injury record. He's had a lot of hamstring and unknown injuries. Ivan says, Glenn, welcome back. ESR to me must stay. Interesting. I'm from England, as my surname has been in the news in the last 48 hours, says Cozier Dewberry. That's the name that has been on the news. Russell says, good evening, I'm from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you. George says, I'm from Monrovia, Liberia. There's Arsenal fans just all over the world, man. It's so crazy. Barcelona bound is Nico. For sure, it looks like he would potentially go there. Those Spanish players don't like leaving Spain. We are going to win a trophy 2025. Let's hope so. Samuel. I take him, failing Nico. No doubt, people. Come on, guys, give me some credit. I'm trying, isn't it, Cozy? Musa says, hi, Glenn. I'm watching you from Nigeria. Thanks. Thank you. From Uganda, there's Stevel. From Uganda, from Ceci says, Raphinha to Arsenal. No. That deal won't happen because there's no way he could leave Barcelona where he starts. No, he could definitely leave Barcelona. I'd not be surprised if Raphinha is not there, especially if they sign Nico Williams. He's not going to be there. Saka is there, and there's no way Saka will be on the bench and Raphinha starts here. Definitely not. That news is not real. Just forget about it. Yeah, that's why I've not talked about it a lot. But in terms of Raphinha leaving Barcelona, I'd not be surprised if he does leave Barcelona. Olayemi says, what's the latest on Calafiori? And Frederick says, I'm from Ghana. So on Calafiori, The latest is a deal closer, as always. This is the latest on him from Fabrizio. We are closing the deal. Yesterday, it was reported that you're going to finalize it in the next 24 to 48 hours. So let's see. So that means by tomorrow night, we could have a breakthrough. But still, in terms of medical and all that, we'll still need him to come back from his holiday to do the medical. But as long as we've agreed personal terms and we've agreed the fee, the team is going to be an Arsenal player. Even if the medical is done in August, one day before the season starts, he's going to be an Arsenal player, no doubt about that one. This deal, we're not going to pass this week without Calafiori being an Arsenal player. I'm sure about that. RK says, how are you doing, Glenn? I am doing good. Thank you for being here. Can't we sign Rashford if he comes with reducing wages? I don't think many Arsenal fans like Rashford to Arsenal anyway. And Rashford one will not take a day. If you're trying to sign Rashford, it would not take a day. That is signing a player from Man United. That is not going to be easy. It depends on whether Rashford wants to move to Arsenal as well, either way. And Rashford is mainly a left winger, so I don't think you have a problem with left wing. Good evening, how you says Victor. I'm really appreciating your job. Thank you. Go protect us on the way. Nice one. I want Williams. Okay. I'm having a feeling that Ate is going to convert Timber into a DM. I'm from Ghana, says Frank. He could. I don't think it's just going to like totally convert him to a DM like Timber is now a defensive midfielder, but we could see him playing there a few times in the season, especially when you have the ball. If he's playing, Timber is going to be the one to go to midfield to help out Rice. But that depends if Partey and Jorginho are not on the pitch. Depends on the game that you're playing. It's great that we can't predict that. It's great that we can have a bit of unpredictability in terms of the team. We don't even know who's going to play. Having all of those defenders, that would be great, man. Levinas says we need a proven and quality striker because Kai Havertz can't do it. We need somebody that can easily score 20 plus goals without penalties, like Gyökeres, Watkins, and Newcastle striker. 20 plus goals plus penalties. Gyökeres and Watkins can do it. Isaac still scores a few penalties. But yeah, all of them can still score 20 plus goals, even if you remove the penalties from the list. But the problem with that, though, you're not going to get Watkins from Aston Villa. That is just too much of a dream. If you're to ask me today which striker I want, and I can have any striker, I would have Watkins. But you're not going to get Watkins. They're now in the Champions League. They would ask for something like 150 million. You're not going to pay that for him. Isaac, it's just impossible to talk to Newcastle anyway. Newcastle don't want to sell those players. Isaac, Bruno Guimaraes, and players like Bruno Guimaraes and Isaac feel like they're doing well at Newcastle and they're happy to stay there. So unless you really convince him, you still need to pay a lot of money for them. To sign a player like Watkins or Isaac, you don't sign anyone else in that transfer window. You go with that 150 million and you buy one player. That's it. Jeff says Arsenal sometimes joke, why can they sign a striker totally we don't have a finisher? I mean, no one has said they're not going to sign a striker, though. It's 8th of July. There's still a full 6-7 weeks before the Premier League starts. So there's still a lot of time in terms of signing a striker. I really love your show. Keep it up. From Kogi State, Nigeria says Friday. Thank you. Good evening, Muniru. Let me take two more comments. Siddiq says, I don't like Raphinha. Arsenal should go for great and talented winger, not all these guys who don't like the club. That's the other thing. They only want to revive their career. Yeah, I'm not sure about how much Raphinha loves Arsenal as well. That's the other thing. You're right. Is he just coming back to revive his career, coming to, for money? Paul says, good evening, everything Arsenal. I'm watching from Botswana. We now need a striker and a central midfielder. I want a midfielder first, and then a striker, and then a backup winger. That is my shopping list. Let's recap what we've gone through today. Calafiori's deal for Fabrizio Romano has said Arsenal and Bologna in ongoing discussions to close the deal for Ricardo Calafiori. It has been confirmed that it's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. Emile Smith Rowe, Fulham are getting ready to table a bid for Emile Smith Rowe. Let's see how much they're going to table. I'm not really keen on selling Smith Rowe, so if they're not giving us something significant, we don't really have to sell him. Albert Sambi Lokonga is edging closer to moving to Sevilla. It's going to be a loan deal according to Sky Sports, and then it's going to be sold next year immediately. It's an obligation to buy. We've also discussed the latest on Kivio. Inter Milan, Juventus are fighting for him. Let's wait and see how that one develops this week. I think if Calafiori joins, Kivio is going to be the one to leave. Arsenal are linked to a goalkeeper from Wolves. Could he come and be a second choice or a third choice? Not sure about it, but Dan Bentley from Wolves is being linked. He's only played 5 games in the Premier League, 3 last season, 2 the previous season, so doesn't really have too much Premier League experience. Nuno Tavares is being linked to Lazio, Ajax one team, I think Marseille one team, a few teams one team, and if you sell him for 8.5 million, that will mean profit for Nuno Tavares, which is great. And then the first story that you talked about in this one is Eze. According to reports, Arsenal are understood to be among several clubs interested in Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze. So would you guys take Eze? Do you think we don't need Eze? I put a poll on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, let me see what the results are. If you're watching on a different platform, let me know. Would you take Eze? Yes or no? So the question was thoughts on Eze to Arsenal, and 65% say I would 100% take him. Wow. So 65% say they would take him. 15% say they don't think he's that good. 11% said buy him, but not as priority. And then 9% said we already have Smith Rowe. So not too many people saying you already have Smith Rowe, don't buy Eze. In fact, a lot of you say I would take him 100%. Interesting. So 2 more comments. Let's see. I think there'll be another video after this. I want to know about your craze move to Arsenal from Sierra Leone. We've discussed it. I think we have to wait and see Sporting dropping their price first. RK, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. She says, keep up the good work, Glenn. Thank you, and thank you guys for supporting. There's a lot of you that I always see here. RK, there's so many comments. I can't even find the names. Musa, I always see here. There's so many. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Paul, Emerson, George, Michael, Russell, Prince, Walker, Lloyd, Katuma, I always see here, Erimai, Russell Said, Frank, all of you guys, man, thank you for being here and watching. I always say it every day. This stream is not going to be at this time. It's going to be earlier, but yeah, it's going to be earlier. We're going to be doing this stream every single day. We're expecting a lot of news this July. Victor says yes, he would take him. So last one, Abubakar says, good evening, Glenn. Thank you so much for your good work. I'm watching you from Sierra Leone. I appreciate it. And now I can confirm you're going to be back with Cozy tomorrow. The usual podcast. We've not done it for a couple of days, but tomorrow morning, podcast with Cozy. We'll be talking about all of this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next video later on today.